Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the latest and most likely largest episode of the Astro News Network ever. Astro Empires kind of did its thing this week where lots of things happen on all the servers at once. So here I am, getting ready to talk about them all. Who is Technomage? It's someone from Mystic. I asked the leadership people on Mystic, I was like, hey, you guys want to send someone on? And they said, sure, we're going to have this guy. His in-game name is Coronavirus, but his Discord name is Technomage. I don't know who he is either, but we're going to learn about him. We'll see if he knows anything about the crash or not. If not, we have Wodan for backup, so it's okay. But we have a lot to talk about here at the end of June. Mystic had their big server crash, with Bust and Spaz defeating Triad and GOTR Monday afternoon. Yeah, and like I just said, Mystic leadership volunteered Technomage to come on and talk about it, who's not even in their LS team, so we can see how much they respect the news. The speed server is almost over. I think it ends on Monday. That'll be the 30th day. And everyone hated speed server, but Wodan's going to be on to talk about it anyway. And it looks like that the 30 people that Meow brought to the speed server are going to win by doing as little as possible. And after a 3-week lull, a lot happened on Antares this week. Belwar finally landed in 09, but it was at the ultimate cost of his guild's fleet, Reddy's fleet, WP's fleet, and Japan's fleet. And Frosty Goblin from Go will come on to talk about that crash. And on Antares, there was a political shakeup in the A30s, once again shifting in Alecus's favor. And Hashishin, Hash for short, will come on to tell us what happened up there in the 30s between OG and Iran. Hello, everyone in chat. Mr. Halo, Mended, Deity, Hybrid, all that good stuff. So we're going to have a lot to go over today. It is not going to be a quick one. And we have guests on for every single topic, because that way I didn't have to write so much about everything myself, which was very nice. I thought that was a smart play. And the layout's going to be slightly different. I'm not going to describe every headline before we get the guests on. It's going to be, I talk about the topic, then get the guest, and then we'll just do something right after that. Need to get something on that wall behind me? No, not necessary. There is a shelf that has lots of toys on it that you can't see because it's very far away. And there's a cat tower that the cats never get on when the show's on. And they're trolls. And sometimes the dog gets in the chair behind me. So I don't think I need a painting. That's unnecessary. Let's see. Talking about my toys and cat tower that never gets used. I've completely lost my place already. Oh, yeah. Before I jump into the headlines, I received a few messages on the forum about SETI, old-ass server SETI, specifically some dude, Death Smurf, who has gone into over-the-top detail in the history of every guild on SETI ever. Now, I can't imagine that will ever be interesting to talk about on the ANN, but if for some reason you want to read about SETI history and all the guilds there, go check out the SETI forums. Yeah, it won't be here, because all that stuff happened 15 years ago. But if for some reason you played SETI and you forgot, you can go read about it now. There's like 1,000 posts about it. It's absurd. But before we get into our actual headlines, we're just going to peek at the rankings on Antares and Ares for a quick moment and just see what's going on there. Because for the first time in a long time, the rankings are actually different. All right, here's Antares rankings. Yeah, things actually moved around because 6 guilds were involved in a crash on Thursday. And Iran no longer exists. So if you take a look at the levels, the top 5 guilds are OPA, USSR, DND, War, and VVV. It's a big jump up for DND, formerly known as OG, while Japan dropped out of the top 5 for the first time all server. Looking at fleet rankings, very similar. OPA, USSR, War, DND, and VVV. Just War, D&D flip-flopped a little bit there, that's all. Yeah, Japan, SF, Total, Ready, WP, Go, all had huge fleet drops this week. No, Frosty, that is inappropriate. Inappropriate. That's the first thing you're going to say in chat. That's inappropriate. If you take a look at the rankings XP, finally, only 30s and 40s guilds, that's changed. Now the top 5 XP guilds are Go, Total, Japan, SF, and Die. So Die held on to a top 5 space in the experience there. And we have, I barely even looked at the top 10 individual accounts. Let's see, still a bunch of U Corp and OPA because Japan's dropped out of it, and number 1 is still Elite. Shocker. And I didn't get any individual statistics that people PM'd me this week, so shame on everyone yet again. We're just going to toss that out. Let's just stop asking for it. Other not big enough for full headline news on Antares includes the A-20s cluster trying to launch at USSR in 18 after the big crash in 09 on Thursday. However, Chansey will only run an op if he thinks the enemy has absolutely no knowledge of it. So if he thinks there's a leak, there's a recall. So we weren't even in the air for 24 hours before that got recalled back. And so now we're just on the spy witch hunt again. And I can only assume that also means ops only sent out by PMs and at 3 in the morning launches. I assume that's going to be my future in OPA. But let's go ahead to Ares, not Antares. Yeah, here's the Ares rankings. Ares kind of sucks, and everyone hated it playing throughout the whole time.
Shit you being shit leader, shit strategist, shit at AE. You're the joke of the community. All you do is just get farmed out and then try and pull this bullshit where you just blame everyone.
Oh my God, Scott, can you please? Scott, please, can you be a little bit less toxic? My God. Unbelievable. But taking a look at the actual rankings, the pre-server alliance of Slack and Zoom are in the number 1 and number 2 spots after everyone else that was relevant crashed on Friday. Tribe, Left 4 Dead, and Eclipse defeated Research Labs and Error in a crash on Friday afternoon. So they've all dropped way down the ranks, and there's not enough time for the winner of that crash, which was Tribe, Left 4 Dead, and Eclipse, to even recover. So basically everyone just gave them a win for the memes. If you notice, there's a lot of guilds named Eclipse now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Because right before that Friday crash, I was piloting an account in Research Labs for it. Their ally, Error, they switched their name to Eclipse like a little bit early, like a full minute before the crash. So the other side saw it, and then they just made themselves all Eclipse also. And it was super confusing for their side. There was not a small amount of friendly fire that happened. At least 3 million in friendly fire kills happened on that side. And Wodan's going to be on with us later to talk about this. And he's in chat. He knows. He'll dish the dirt on that decision. Yep. And yep, Southie says, yeah, Error doing that early was kind of retarded. A little early on that. If we take a look at the fleet rankings, oh my God, it's number 1 and 2, Slack and Zoom, because they still have fleet and no one else does. The top guild for experience is Fake Tribe, which is Research Labs. They changed their name to Tribe. They're the only one in the crash that wasn't a clip. And that's why they lost, probably. So that's all the quick rankings. We're going to talk about the crash on Ares later. They're going to be the second topic. We're going the Mystic Server War, Ares crash, and we'll talk about just that entire server because we're on day 29 out of 30 of that with Wodan. Then we're going to talk about the Antares 09 crash with Frosty. And then we're going to talk about... what's it called? Oh yeah, the 30s nonsense where Iran is gone now. So before we get into that Mystic Server recap, it's that quick paragraph about self-promotion where I'd like to thank everyone that watches and has followed and subscribed. And here's the friendly reminder that if you do have Amazon Prime, you get a free monthly subscription to your favorite streamer on Twitch. And you can use this free subscription every single month. And if you're not watching live, I upload these videos to YouTube the next day for old people who are afraid to click on a Twitch link. And if you follow and subscribe there, that's all appreciated too. But now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Mystic. All right. Now, the Mystic Server War started during the ANN 2 weeks ago when I announced our launch through the wormhole, and can best be described where I left off when I said this on last week's episode. Mystic has been on red alert from 1 week ago minus 1 hour when the ANN delivered the breaking news that Bust launched through the wormhole to the 00s. Triad, led by Cloak, decided not to suicide on the wormhole this time and pulled their fleets back to 04. And Bust has been in pursuit. They've moved down to 05 using their trademark middle of the night launches. The blob. All right, so there we go. Look at me using my own quote. Brilliant time saver there. Naturally, the Monday after last week's ANN when I said that is when we launched for the full crash. The 04 crash went down at a reasonable hour on Monday afternoon, which was a nice surprise for everyone involved. Bust LS decided for the first time in a long time that we should also get proper notice for the launch too. We got a few days, so the sync turned out pretty good. Yeah, if you see here, Wodan always puts together a nice chart like this. What's that? Wodan says, don't forget 100 million to T moved over at the last minute. It was more than that, because we killed... We'll get to the numbers. Yeah. Wodan, you're jumping ahead, man! Anyway, so this bust sync turned out pretty well. We can look at Wodan's chart here. We had about 600 landing in the first minute and about 200 million in the 10-minute trail. So there was about 800 million incoming during that time frame that matters before our capitals land. And I'm pretty sure that Wodan's defender count was taken way too early because the total fleet kills were close to 800 million on both sides. So Triad definitely got more than 386 million under us. That's right, Chris. Those are some definitely Zerger numbers. Wodan Zerger confirmed. Let's see. Yeah, there was in the crash itself, there was a little over 20 minutes of the initial fighting, and then it was left with Triad had one ion frigate fleet, like a big ion frigate fleet left, and he was bopping a few of the capital fleets that were landing for the bust side. And eventually he kind of ran out of juice, and they didn't have any more capital killers left. And the capital ships that landed for the bust side, they just got to clean up everything that was left. And that was under half an hour time frame. Like that 20 to 30 minute time frame was when this crash really kind of got finished up. I derbbed a Leviathan stack, so I did my job as an Ion Frig fleet. If you've been peeking at the battle reports, I mainly tried to include the really good hits or the really bad hits to shame people. There was someone I saw on there that he had like a small dreadnought stack, and he attacked a frigate fleet that was way bigger than him, so he died and just completely nuked himself. And his name was Alicus. But the Mystic crash was probably the best fought crash of the week. But maybe you can't help but wonder if things could have gone differently if Triad didn't try to contest our sync. Because Triad left over was it at least 300 million that was left on their blob that didn't move over to contest our landing. And when you have that much inactive fleet, maybe you shouldn't try to contest the landing zone that's coming in, and you let the other side use their actives to kill your inactives. I don't know. I don't know how much that would have changed it because, I mean, the crash was kind of close, but we did have a lot coming in to the landing zone. I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll never know. The total fleet lost looked something like 794 million bust was derbed to 790 Triad that was derbed. So it looks like Triad did manage to derb 4 more million than bust got to derb of them. The main pile and adjacent Astros had a little over 950 million debris on it, so that was a nice 20% profit for me. That was fun to collect. I got to build bases 15, 16, and 17. Fun fact about those bases, I didn't put any fleet over them, and they're all in the same system because I just built them all on 3 asteroids in a row, and they all got scout tapped a couple hours ago. Whoops! On Friday afternoon, we were still finishing up cleaning the pile, and Triad had kind of pulled their fleet, what was left on their 04 blob out, and there was about 100 million left that was still inactive on there. So Bust and Spaz, they launched over to derb those 100 million inactives on the Triad blob, which is my favorite thing because whenever you're attacking an inactive blob, there's always some idiot with just a trigger happy moron that does something really stupid. And in this one, there was a guy in Crash named Mr. Leahy who smashed his levies into some heavy cruisers and just completely derbed himself. And that was cute. I think that was the worst hit. I think I remember reading someone got friendly fired, but I'm not even sure who did that too. I'll assume that was also Mr. Leahy. Yeah, so who knows what's left for Mystic at this point? The server's not far from 2 years old. I haven't seen too many account deletions, so maybe there's going to be a lot of people that are still continuing to inactively log in. Who knows? And our guest for this, the Bust leadership volunteered a dude named Technomage to come on and talk about the crash. And he's not even LS, so we'll see if he can't give us a good scoop or not, but we'll ask about him. We'll learn about him a little bit. They say he's a good talker and a good storyteller, so maybe he can surprise us coming out of the woodworks. So I'll be bringing him on now, so sit tight. We're going to go on a little quick break so I can get him on Discord, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we are here with Technomage here. Why don't you just say hello to everyone, Technomage?
Good afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are.
Yep, and I know we got someone that's English, and I know sometimes I've had problems understanding people that are maybe English or Irish, but I have Technomage under control. I can understand him perfectly. I think we're going to have a good talk today. So how you doing this? I guess it's for you, it's the evening. It's 5 o'clock in England.
It is 5 o'clock in the evening. It's still hot and sunny here.
It's still, it's pretty hot over here. I live on the east coast of the U.S. But before we get into this Mystic talk, let's hear a little bit about yourself. Even Mr. Black, one of the main leadership of over on Mystic, he said, "Who is Technomage?" He doesn't even know who you are. So why don't you go ahead and tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I started about 13 years ago on beta for a while, and then I really couldn't continue because it was taking up too much of my time. So I packed that in, and then I took it up after I unfortunately had a stroke in July 2009. So I took it, I think it was either ICSI, and then I moved on to Lyra, and I was in Chaos, which was that time run by Death. And when the actual person, Death, did what he said he would and died, I took over, or rather I got half of the team. There was a guy called Titanium. He took over half of them. But
hey, Techno, do you still have the stream like not muted? Because now I can hear yourself on an echo. I don't hear me, but I hear you.
Okay, I'll just muted it off again.
Also, thank you. Yeah. Also, thank you for the sub, Ben. Very much appreciated. So, yeah. So, yep. You played with death. Oh God, it's like worse now. Because he didn't hear this before. Are you sure you don't have something that got unmuted somehow?
No. Let me just turn my sound down at this end. Try that. How about that?
Let's see. I think. All right. I'm not hearing myself coming through now, so I think it might be better.
Okay. Right. No, Death was the leader, and he was unknown to everybody else. He was playing from a hospital bed, and he died. And Titanium was a guy that they had, and he took over half the guild. I took over the other half of the guild, but he had 3 disastrous operations, which ended up with his lot turning on him and attacking him. Then he moved over to me, so I ended up running chaos for a while.
Oh, yep, I get you. So how did you find yourself where we are at on Mystic now?
I then spent a fair deal of time running around, playing on various servers as an invitee, running accounts which otherwise had no owner. Then I quit, and I came back this year, basically because I couldn't stand what was on the TV, various bits and pieces. I've only been playing less than a year now on this server.
Oh, so you got handed an account partway through. You haven't been playing from the start.
No. I opened a new account, and I've been running from just about a year.
Yep, and now your name is Coronavirus. It's very edgy. It's very edgy content.
Yeah, exactly.
So they put you on to talk about this crash here. What kind of fleet did you bring to the table? Were you involved in the planning of this at all?
I wasn't involved in planning at all, no. But the term that I would use that crash, because it was an amalgam of the other guilds, the term that I would refer it to is a forlorn hope. You know what a forlorn hope is?
Yes.
So the idea was to go in, ignore the ordinary frigates, that sort of thing, ignore the capitals, just go for their cap killers and make a hole in their defences big enough for the rest of our forces to crash through. And then kill their ordinary fleet. Our cap killers could go to work on their caps. And as you say, it took about 20 minutes. That was it.
Yep, I get you. Hold on. Mr. Black is actually messaging me. I might add him to here real quick. So hold on just a moment. Mr. Hey, Black, are we actually friends on Discord? Because I might need to send that so I can add you to this. Oh, no, we're friends. Okay, what's your stupid name so I can add you? What's your stupid name? Oh, my God. Sorry, stay with for 1 second, Techno. Yeah, sorry to cut you off like that, Techno, but just they had the impression that you would be able to give some, like, talk on the crash at all. So, hold on, let me go here. Boom. All right, Techno, drop out of this call and join this one that I just put you in a group with Mr. Black together. So sit tight, okay? Yeah, so you disconnect from this call and then you'll... Yeah. Yeah, so... All right, Black, did you... Are you on here now? It seems that I've heard that you joined the call, but I can't. But I cannot hear you, Mr. Black. Oh boy! Great start to the start of the ANN here. So,
okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Is that you there? Oh yeah. And you're back here, Techno. But Mr. Black, even though he's here, he did not join the call.
Okie dokie.
Hold on 1 second, Techno. There you go. Black's in the right call now. All right. And Wodan says get him in here too. So, all right, we're going to get Wodan in here. All these people that were involved in the actual planning of the crash. Here we go. All right. Wodan's getting the call. Yeah, God, Chris, you're so right. Absolute shambles. I know you're so happy about that. But all right. So, Mr. Black, Wodan, sounds like you're both on the call now. Let's talk about the Mystic Crash. How some of that planning went into that.
Oh, I'm just on a call. Sorry. Oh. Hey, George. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, Black, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
Perfect.
Good stuff. So, yeah, this was an interesting one. I think just to add on to what Technomage just said, a forlorn hope. That's actually quite apt. I think we went into this looking pretty confident. So when the wormhole moves, whenever a wormhole moves on any server, and it's a wormhole server, there's opportunities. Depending on where it goes from and to. And then this occasion, we had an opportunity to slide through the wormhole. The cats are out of position, almost exactly the same as what happened on Utopia, actually. But we were unchallenged. We managed to get through the wormhole, and they ran to further down the cluster. Now, we had a series of really kind of, well, as you know, 3 a.m. edgy launches, creeping down the cluster to try and creep up on them. Everybody's getting no sleep all week, every couple of days, and a horrible PM table. One of the tables leaked. We had one launch that was terrible. We got repelled, and meanwhile they're simming up fleet. Their prod is right behind them. They can just increase their blob, and we went from having maybe a 1.3 billion fleet advantage compared to 100 million. That disappeared in days. It really did. So they had 1 million, then they had 1.2 million. And it culminated that we were in 05.
Yeah, because also there was one night that like we tried to launch middle of the night and just no one was up for it. Like after that many middle of the night launches,
right? We just burned. Nobody turned up. They got under us easy, and it was just a case of if they could just challenge us with enough fleet, and we're like, right, it's a recall. That's it. I lost 3 million in that crash. Actually, I was at 6 a.m. I was a 6 a.m. launch, had to get up at 9 for landing. There was no way. And I was working that day as well. Forget it. No, and I wasn't the only one. We lost something like 50 million. And at that point, I think people's kind of, this is the forlorn hope thing. You know, it's actually looking pretty 1-to-1 at this point. It's looking, we don't have that much of an advantage. So we actually just spent a couple of days sleeping, let the tail catch up, let everybody just get mass on that blob. It's what we did. And the next launch that we made was at 5 p.m. UK time, maybe 12 p.m. USA time, East Coast, which is a really easy crash launch, which everybody can attend and we can have a nice little good time. And everybody kind of loved it. So the way forward, I hope the Mystic leadership are kind of listening, and the OPA leadership is nice, easy launches where everybody gets to attend.
Who'd have thunk it that doing a launch not at 3 a.m. several days in a row might actually improve your activity and see you sync.
You have to remember, bad times for them are also bad times for us, right? And that's...
And the onus is on us to sync, so it needs to be more convenient for us.
Right, and if you've got more real players, I don't want to cast any doubts over the other team, but you know, if you are piloting less accounts and you've got more real players, then it's better to give them a good ride, and then their leadership can be frantically trying to log into accounts and move them around. Where our real players are just logging in, send one's done.
Good insight out with that cough, Mr. Black. Because one thing I thought about with that crash, like the numbers were pretty even. Like we had very similar sized blobs. I'm surprised that they came to contest our landing zone to our other jump gate in the galaxy, because that separated them from their actives, or their inactives. Excuse me.
Yeah, I have some insight on that. It just comes down to, on an older server, when you have a lot of piloted accounts, sometimes the reliability factor is not going to be there. So our strategy was that if we're going to land not on the jump gate for them, but on ours, then at some point we were going to do private message to all the trusteds, and we're going to go crash that blob. And potentially that if they don't have their actives that are multi-piling, certain accounts, then they can be completely caught unawares. So it was a gamble on their side. They probably saw that coming as well. So they said, well, F it, we've got enough actives right now. It's a good time. So why don't we just go for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we did. Yeah, we went for it. And because we had about 800 million in that first 10 minutes, that was a pretty good movement of our blob. and it would have been pretty surprising to.
It was an okay sink. I think it was an okay sink. So 600 and about 700 million sink to a minute is decent. I mean, they had 400, 500, maybe a little bit more, 600 million. Like you said, the graph's a little bit out of date. I did it about an hour or so, or maybe 30, 40 minutes before we landed. And they sneaked over a bunch of anti-caps. They had a Titan fleet, a massive Titan fleet, Duncan. They had like Kami Sensei, was 2 Levi stacks. They had some monster fleets that were moving over last minute just so we didn't see them. But we spotted them in leadership and announced and said, look, battleships target this, iron frigates target that. And it was just, we had everything tagged. We were picking targets in the hour before landing. And it was quite smooth. It was quite organized. I think the carry really has to be Lucian Markov with his 20 million credit strong Levi stack, which he held that pile for a good 20 minutes, just king of the hill, basically sat there.
Yeah, unfortunately, all the other levies that landed before him, they got nuked by the guy with ion frigates left.
My 17 million Levi stack got annihilated. I got one bite out of a frigate stack, and that was it, and then got trashed.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was still a good crash. Did you get any good hits off, or did you get derbed?
I got one hit. I got something like 500k to 4 million on a frigate stack, and that was it. And then after that, I got trashed by IFs.
Yeah, I know. I got to derb a stack of levies. I know Mr. Black got to derb one as well. Techno, did you get any good hits off in the crash?
Unfortunately, no. I get hit by 2 big fleets, more or less sort of straight on landing. That was it.
Big oof. Yeah, I knew I bounced immediately. Because I bounced immediately, went to the Astro next door, and I attacked. Like someone had like a fleet of like 11 million worth of empty carriers. So I got to derb that.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
yeah, get us the profit, And then I bounced back, got some levies, and then someone shot me before I could bounce again. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit of in-system kind of action. People were bouncing between those 4 or 5 Astros quite a lot. What else do we say?
I really enjoy Mystic. It's a server that basically fractioned all the good players to all these different guilds. Like if you look at the rosters for the Triad side, you're going to notice you've got Detroit Fans Group, which is now more closely aligned to OPA. You have TN, who is the leader over there with ELO and with Baylor. And so you got both sides that really have just some strong core players and pilots that for that crash, it was pretty amazing when everyone's awake and shooting each other back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's your battle report of you getting partially derbed there. That was just up there while you were talking. Oh, and Figment finishes you off. Oh no, that's not you. That's whoever swapped names with you. That's right, Chansey. Oh yeah, Chansey was being piloted by Scott, and Scott got immediately derbed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but yeah, there was a lot of good hits in there. There was a few bad hits. Yeah, big rip for Scotty. Oh, but yeah, I mean, still, it was a pretty even crash. It was definitely the most well fought crash of the week by far.
Oh, it was great. I mean, yeah. The thing was, I think to be honest, it was winnable. I mean, they could have won this if with the right series of moves and a little bit of kind of forward planning. We would have lost this. It was, like I said, the time was on their side. They had the prod advantage coming in.
If they had one more Ion Frig alive 20 minutes after the crash started, goodbye, Lucian. Yeah.
And yeah, I think you might have picked up on it, Black. If they had just sat tight on their own inactive blob and just waited for us to come in.
Yeah, let us waste our actives attacking some of their inactives. You gotta
that's the play, because we don't know who's active, right? That's it. And they had 300 million of mass just sitting there that would not have been sitting on a pile. We would have been struggling to deal with it.
Yep. But yeah, Cloak's getting better at his defensive crashes, because on Nexus he moved over and there was a whole bunch of fleet not ready for that crash, and there was a lot less fleet not ready for this crash here on Mystic. So he's definitely improving.
I think he's kind of falling for the same trap every time. I think this idea that I know you're going to speak to Frosty in a second. I kind of feel like the losing crash on Antares might be inspired by our last two winning crashes, the one in Nexus and the one in Mystic, where we didn't have a great sink, but we had a big tail and a lot of mass, and won anyway. And if you look at Antares, it's the opposite. It's like that. They don't have a great sink, and they've got a lot of fleet coming in, but it just didn't work. And the difference is caps play. So, we had a plan to take out their caps. It worked. They had nothing left by the time our good fleets were landed. We had caps. They didn't. Look at Antares, exactly the opposite. And I'm sure you'll speak to Frosty about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the
crash. Jord,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to put this out there, Jord, but I think that the best fleet commanders right now is with our side. And when I say our side, there's been like a specific alignment throughout these past few servers. I'd say the last 5 or so. And I see Alex's comment on there. So here's my little entertaining little jab, is that when Alex finally unites the 30s under his own banner, then maybe we're going to see some interesting things that happen, because truly right now Cloak does not have any good fleet commanders.
Ooh, there's Alex's suicide right there.
Just to add to that, I'm on Alex's side in Antares at the minute, so looking forward to fighting you black at some point. Well, maybe not. You never know how it goes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I think that Alex will be a better fleet commander than what's currently going on the Antares 30s.
Well, I had a front view row seat of the Lost crash, and I can tell you it was very, very slick. And it was 1-to-1. He takes chances. He rolls the dice, and sometimes he rolls 6. It's just the way he plays. Oh
yeah, because right now he's the only person in the game that is taking risks at all. So that gives him. He's a wild card. He's got that edge because no one else ever takes a risk ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And any other big things to talk about for Mystic? That server's over, boys. It's basically over.
Well, I think what I would say is Mystics, like Black just said, it's a very it's a server that's been going on for a long time. It's 2 years old at least. It's got a really strong player base. I would say that it's there's been a whole history, a whole story, a whole bunch of different things that have been going on, and I don't know if people want to let go of that. I think people will want to keep playing it. It's bizarre. Maybe we'll need to change things up a little bit to keep it interesting, so we don't just have a massive Zerg. But
yeah, because at this point, that's obviously what our side will be now, because we'll have a huge advantage and more people, and we'll just something will have to change diplomatically to keep that server interesting.
And Scott, I don't have corona, but I do have a
cough. Well, boys, I think we're going to wrap it up on the Mystic Talk. I want to thank you guys for coming on and helping talk about some of the crash planning and all that. And Wodan, don't you go too far, because we're going to talk about Ares in just a minute, okay?
Oh, sure.
So,
hang about.
Yes. So I'm going to drop out of this call, and then I'll send you a call in a few minutes, okay?
Cheers, guys.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, so we talked about Mystic for a very long time, but it was the end of Mystic. It's been a server that lasted for quite a while, and now it's pretty much over. So Mystic gets that time. It's the end of the Mystic whole entire server war. Get over it. We're going to talk about that. It's the server ending. It's kind of important. But Ares is going to be a shorter topic, because Ares is just completely a meme server. Let's see here. On Friday night, it was the final crash on Ares, which was really to determine who didn't win the server. Most parties involved that were playing were not having a good time, or were not having a good time and were humiliated somewhere along the way. And so Left 4 Dead and Tribe, and who's their third ally? Eclipse. They crashed into Research Labs in error, basically just for the hell of it, guaranteeing that none of them would win prizes for first or second place guilds. Oh, Alex, you lost your first crash, buddy. I know we just talked about how good your fleet command was, but remember when you threw away the win 3 weeks ago? Anyway, I didn't play Ares, but I knew that Ares was mostly an all talk and no action server. There was that dramatic crash week 1 that should have been won by Zoo and then wasn't, and then nothing happened for 2 weeks, and then Meow's 3 Guild Alliance dirbed like 3 million fleet of errors. And then yesterday, the rest of the guilds that weren't in Meow's 3 Guild Alliance crashed purely for the memes. And so they definitely get no prizes for it. So, Wodan, I'm just going to give you that quick call now because, yeah, there's really not too terribly much to talk about Ares along the way. Oh, Wodan, you're already in. Perfect. So, yeah, because I didn't play Ares. I started an account and then stopped logging into it by like Sunday. So, I want to just talk about it. We can talk about the crash to be serious, and then we can just talk about how everything else was awful after that.
Talk about speed generally. You got to admit that speed is basically a game mode for tryhards and complete shitters. There's no other way to kind of explain it. You have to pay for it. There's prizes. As soon as it's like gambling. As soon as there's money on the table, poker's fun until you start playing for money, right? That's what they say. Same thing here, 100%. And I think that some of the groups that joined for a laugh and for the memes and for the let's just have a little group of people together and let's see how it goes. Now those, I would say that's our group definitely, and I would say that's Scott's group definitely, and I think that I like this as well. I would say that's true of them. Error, I can't speak for them. I don't know them very well. But the people who are going to win this, without a doubt, are Meow and his group, 100%. They've got an unassailable position. They came to win. They came to win. Just put that out there, without a doubt.
They came to 08 to win, and that's where they stayed. I mean, they did go after Error, but that wasn't not much of a risk there.
I think Error getting pulled in to kind of pad out RL. It was a vulture move. They moved in behind Error, and you could say that they chased them out, or you could say that they just went for some easy farming in the bases and stuff. But yeah, they're going to go out of the server winning without technically having fielded a crash. Not a real one anyway, and that's what gets the win. And it's a little bit. I think I mentioned this last time I killed. The only way to win a Astro Emperors, any server, anytime, doesn't matter what it is. The only way to win is to walk away satisfied.
Is not to play.
Your goal was. Well,
hold on, Wodan. I'm going to make a bold claim that I'm going to agree with what Golden Sun said in chat. With anger is the strongest magic. But let's talk about the crash that went down last night, where you were in Tribe. Yeah. You were in Tribe. Your allies Left 4 Dead and Eclipse launched on Research Labs and Error, who were blobbed together in 04. Yeah. You guys brought about 25 million or so, something like that, and Research Labs had a 19, like close to 20 million fleet to greet you.
Yeah. I mean, they had more than that fleet around, but I don't know why they didn't just pull it in. Also, they stopped prod for some reason, and we were expecting kind of more to kind of come off bases and come under us, but it didn't.
Okay, because I think what Scott did was he had, I think like a week or so ago, he had stopped ordering the fighter stacking, and he was having people produce fleet to move the fighters. Yeah. So that's why there was less fighters.
Possibly the case, yeah. I mean, our sync was kind of bad. We synced 15 million. To the first minute or something, then we had 2 million landing a minute later, and then we had another 2 million. So what I'm saying is our launch was beatable. If I could give some analysis, I would say that the fleet composition of the defenders wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
Out of these players,
whoops.
Obviously I profiled both our blobs weeks ago.
Whoops.
And Scott's Guild, 15 players, 13 of them were cruisers, and they had maybe a couple of battleship guys. So pretty much the entire thing's wipeable by frigates or cruisers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got Error, who are 60% cruisers, 2 corvette guys who can be shield ripped easily, and then 2 guys who are playing with also battleships.
How many times, or how many people in your guild went battleships? Because Scott had
0.
several people going battleships for.
Why would you go battleship in the speed server?
I know.
I mean, look. It's what are battleships for? They do 2 things well. One is they shield rip corvettes, and the other is they kill Levi's. All right, who's going to have Levi's on speed? Nobody. So why are you building battleships?
And why would you be worried about like killing someone that is building a corvette stack in the first place? Like why? Yeah. Why did they build battleships?
If somebody's got a corvette stack, why wouldn't you just rip them with dreads?
Like that's how you know Scott wasn't taking the server seriously, because he let more than 0 people build battleships.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, actually, when I saw the battleship fleets a week or 2 ago, I was like, these guys are Russian dreads. This is bad news.
Nope.
These are the early fleets that are coming out, and the shipyard's going to go up, and then, no, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. So, yeah, in terms of the actual crash, if they'd kept prodding cruisers and fighters, that's actually quite a good spec to have, especially in fleet, on speed server, because cruisers, when they've got bigger averages, can pretty much wipe anything one at
yeah.
About, right.
If you have the
And
extra fighters, yep.
Yeah, 100%. We had a lot of cruisers as well, and they've got obviously stacked fighters as well. If they kept producing cruisers and fighters, we would have been in big trouble because their averages would have just wiped us out. 1 to 2, hit anything on its landing, doesn't matter what it is, they just wipe it.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't meant to be. I think it was a fairly, in terms of numbers, it was even. In terms of specs, maybe it wasn't. And I think that props to the defenders for taking it. It was a fun crash. Let's face it. I think that's what we were doing there.
It probably wasn't that much fun on the RL side because with the name change, because Error changed too early, so everyone just changed to Error's name. There was a lot of friendly fire. A lot of friendly fire.
I want to dish the dirt on that one. I want to dish the dirt on that one because here's the thing. We had pre-planned to all change our name to Eclipse an hour before it actually happened. So when we saw Error change to Eclipse, we were like, "Oh, this is actually bad news for us." So, but it was too late. There was a minute to go. We couldn't change the plan. We just went with it. But it turned out that because RL changed their name to Tribe, they were easily identifiable.
Yes, I know.
Right, so we knew who they were, and that was it. But we were all called Eclipse, so the friendly fire was just crazy. I think 2 million fleet got wasted.
Yep.
We were just as confused. I've got to be honest. I personally tried to shield rape one of the genuine Eclipse players. It didn't go too well. But then that's when things got interesting. So we had 2 suicides, both from left, right. And I've got to compliment the defenders. Their kind of pile harassment has been a point in the last 24 hours. We've lost so many recyclers. It took us a day plus to collect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that was a super confusing crash. I was piloting an account and I was like, I didn't sign up for this. Did not sign up for it.
I mean, I'll give my guys props. We're just a fun group. We want memes. Our Discord's really funny. We've got stupid emotes and stuff on the go. We wanted to have a couple of fun crashes and crash Zoo. That was good. Then we crashed RL. That was also good. And yeah, that's it. We'll meme out of the server in probably 3rd place and be satisfied. So like I said, we'll win AE because we'll play the game on our terms and be satisfied, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be any speed servers after this. I know there's a lot more people that joined this one than the last one, but I know that a lot of people didn't have fun with this one.
I think it's been pretty toxic, to be honest. I
mean, way more toxic than an average server. The toxicity was sped up.
A lot of flaming. I know that the one player gave, I won't mention them because they enjoy the notoriety, but one player gave out real life death threats, no joke. And when you're playing with that kind of environment, it just turns you off. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Are we having fun anymore? If you're not having fun, what are we doing? That's it.
But yeah, it's basically that. I mean, we'll probably get another one in 9 months or something like that. We'll see what happens. And I think the mini server starts end up being more fun than the speed server because you're not tied to it for 30 days. You're playing it for 5 days.
I'll throw something out. I mean, just I agree with that. And MSS, it's really good, but we don't have to go and start a new account. I mean, we could have war games. We were talking about this on Nexus, weren't we? Sorry, it's going to slide Nexus in there, but the server is kind of renowned for being a dead server now, and people are just going, well, what's the point? But you could have, I don't know, pick 2 teams of 10 or 11, 2 million fleet each. Pick a cluster. One group starts in one end, the other group starts in another end. You've both got a jump skate network, and you just go for it. You got 30 days to wipe each other out, something like that. I don't know. It could be fun.
Yeah. After Elysium was over, we played just like a King of the Hill game. Where you get a donated debris pile and you have like these limited fleet sizes in one team versus another team, and you're trying to recycle as much of the pile as you can, and that was fun.
A real safe way for people to learn small scale tactics.
And fleet spec stuff. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, these kind of game ending kind of blob crashes are really high stakes, and people learn poker from small stakes games, and we need more of those kind of little crashes to kind of just blood people a little bit so they can learn what works, what doesn't work.
Yep. Well, we're going a little bit over on time, and I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about Ares anymore. Anyway, the server was dumb. Everyone hated it. Congratulations to Meow and his other guild, his 2 guilds for winning. You get to enter on the next speed server, but do you really want to?
Given what happened on the last speed server, maybe it's actually deserved. I mean, I think that whole experience of getting the guild disbanded by Scott, last minute, just terrible. But maybe that's it. Maybe this is karma. Maybe that's why they're getting the win.
Yeah, that's probably why they gave it to him this time. That makes sense to me. Oh, Scott. But
everybody's probably be crying next already, so let's wrap it up. Yeah, but yeah. So basically, speed server bad. Players have fun. Rules. That's how you have fun in this Astro Empires.
Yep. Well, yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, Wodan. Very much appreciate it. And yeah, yeah. Thanks, man. Have a good one. All right, guys. Up next, we're going to talk about the big old crash in 09 on Antares that happened on Thursday. We're going to get Frosty on in just a minute, but I'm going to talk about it for a brief moment before we get him on. So, all right. So, on Thursday, at 15 server time on Thursday morning, Japan landed in 09, and Total, WP, and Ready, 3 guilds from the teens, landed in 09 at a different landing zone for God knows what reason. Japan only synced 22 million fleet in that first minute, while the 310s guilds synced 42 million. And because they were landing at 2 different places, Go and Space Force, they just contested the 22 million smaller sync from Japan and forced the 310s guilds that landed somewhere else to have to launch over to the existing pile of Japan debris. The new meme I'm forcing is to call Japan 2LZ, which I hate to have to explain to people that don't know, but it's because Cloak uses the guild name Too Easy on other servers. I hate to have to explain it, but there's people that don't know it. But to put it bluntly, SF and Go absolutely spanked Japan and Total and WP and Ready. Whoever made the call to land at 2 different landing zones is a tactical doofus, because if they'd landed together, they would have had a sync of over 60 million, and instead there was a super easy contest. And they got to just contest the easy Japan sync, and then they had a smaller relaunch from the teen side that they are, again, easily killed. Go came up with some tactic where I guess you can send auto scouts to yourself, and they don't combine with your fleet, but it makes it a little harder to pick your target. And that just absolutely petrified the other side. I can't imagine it makes it that much harder, because there's still fleets sorted by fleet size. You should be looking at that. I don't know. But in the wake of that auto scout move, Czar, who is in leadership in Belwar's guild, got super mad and suicided in Baylor's guilds on Utopia and Kepler. And I'm pretty sure Baylor suicided him back on Typhon. It was a mess. So lots of cross-server suicides because of this. Total shit show. But tactical blunders aside, give me just a moment to get set up with Frosty. And we'll talk about that. So 1 second. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back with Frosty here. Hello, Frosty Goblin.
Hey. I'm a bit more keyed in on what's happening on the server this time.
Yep, you know that your guild is Go. Do you know what your allies' guild name is?
I'm pretty sure it's SF and SFA. Not 100%, but fairly certain considering what happened this weekend. Yeah,
so let's talk about this crash where your team just stomped the other team with their choice of strategy. Actually, can you explain what the auto scout exploit does exactly?
Fucking nothing. Look, what it is that their jump gate is unrested, right? And so we just put several more fleets there so that they can't kill them all and then try to bounce, with corvettes and stuff.
So it does. So hold on. So it doesn't make you completely unable to click attack, because that's what it looked like happened.
I mean, it certainly looked so when you looked at it from our side, because they didn't attack us at all, except for that one scout that Deathwalker hit with his corvette stack.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah. So Deathwalker in Japan. Now, he wasn't trying to get away. He just wanted to make an attack. That's what he said. Yeah. So Deathwalker was late on the Japan sync, and what he did was he landed on their jump gate, And instead of like moving or trying to bounce or doing
Sorry,
anything,
excuse me, I have to interrupt you there. Wodan is being a fucking retard in the chat, saying it creates lag. Don't lie. Okay, tell me one fucking crash that it hasn't lagged in. You stupid cunt. Move on.
yeah, accurate. Yeah, it lags on every crash no matter what. And Deathwalker, so he landed late, and instead of trying to bounce while there's a fleet that's ready to murder his corvettes, instead he shot a scout. Shot one scout and then got shield raped by battleships or something. Oh my god. So that was a good meme. I really like that.
But I mean, like, see, I wrote this long post on the forums just a bit before the crash, basically trying to say that Cloak is not very good at what he's trying to do. Sadly, no one read it because, as any GM will know, AE players don't like to read more than 2 paragraphs, and it has to be colored because otherwise it doesn't function. It doesn't melt in their brain. So I just called him out for being really, really shit, and everyone just likes him anyway because he's not a terrible human being like the rest of us. Czar, of course, came in and defended his boy, and then absolutely got embarrassed in the crash falling up. So what happened was that Japan, all right, they have a really, 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 really bad sync, dreadful sync. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
Yeah, they had 90 million total guild fleet, and they only launched a little, like 50, barely 50, and synced 20 million of it.
Yeah, like, why would you land that? I don't understand. Just recall, have another go. Unless your plan is, like, I don't know, to have all the late landers clean up and then steal the pile from the people that actually launched on time. But I guess we'll never know. It just depends on how much a Snake Cloak wanted to be, really.
I can't imagine why they wanted to land at 2 different landing zones. Like, why would you ever do that? Why? Why?
That's what I'm saying. Like, the only thing I can actually think of is you land half your fleet early, all right? The other players actually, like, land on time. They come over and contest, and then you just clean up at the end. There's no other reasonable explanation for why that sync was so dogshit.
I mean, that's super shady if that happens. Yeah, Deity says overconfident. But, yeah, because as he points out, Go had, like, you guys have not been active at all server. Your averages and your accounts are trash.
Does averages really mean that much when the enemy's coming in, like, piecemeal and we can just fucking pick them off with caps? No, doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, because you guys got, like this server is 3 months old, and, like, what was your profit ratio on this? Like, almost 50%?
It was 1.33.
1.33, okay.
Yeah,
I remember, Chris
like,
posted something that was, like, 40-some%.
I don't think that was including repairs, though, is the thing.
Okay.
So when the repairs were factored in, I think it lowered it a bit. But it's still, like, a large profit ratio for this early in the server.
I feel too bad. I feel too bad for Belwar, because Belwar finally in his other guilds that he plays with, because this was his best launch, and he got screwed by Japan going somewhere else and not syncing.
People keep saying, "Oh, Belwar is so good for actually, like, taking risks and launching." It's really fucking easy to do when you have, like, one of the largest clusters backing you up at all times, so there's no one able to do anything. Like, they can launch at us however much they want, but we can never counter launch. What are we gonna do? Land in their cluster? Okay, maybe we'll kill their blob, but here comes USSR and VVVVV. There's no point.
Because you guys waited till so late to actually contest the landing. I thought that you guys were, like, just, like, panicking and weren't doing anything, like, because you guys waited till the absolute last second.
Well, see, we were discussing what to do, okay? Because what we could have done, what we thought about doing, because we were on, like, a 7-minute travel time to the landing zone, and the other team was on a 30-minute timer. So we could just wait there and potentially, like, either try to A, recall trap them, or B, in the middle of their launch at the other gate and go for just raping all their frigs and stuff. Mm-hmm. But in the end, we settled for, because the Japan sync was so dreadful, it would have negated any benefit at all if we went for the other LC. So we just stuck on the same LC, hoping we could kill the wave in time, and then just piecemeal picking off one by one by one.
Yeah, because the Japan sync, because it wasn't very good, and they were invested. They waited forever to actually order a recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just thinking they like stuck it out because they were hoping for like a second ANN launch or some shit. It doesn't really make any sense otherwise. Of course, it didn't take long until we saw fucking the snakes from 30s launch with their frigates. Lots of fleets missing from the D&D blob. So
yeah, I heard that Alecus started to make a move, but then he ended up not making a move. Like the 20s, they tried to launch to 18, but Chansey was like, there might be a spy, and we recalled.
yeah,
and so nothing else ended up happening.
it was just, look, I don't know, man. The cloak side needs to figure out how to actually crash. I genuinely don't think they understand how it works.
Yeah, how did you guys lose to them on Sigma? Explain that process.
Oh, well, they just had large China accounts, didn't they? That's what happened. I mean, I wouldn't know. I got banned like a month in and never played that server ever again. So,
but yeah, like you said, after the other recent crashes on other servers, like on Nexus, they made like just the worst play possible. Like they saw that we launched through the wormhole, and they just like, well, they're just gonna win. Let's just die in the worst way possible. And then on Mystic, they should have tried to. They should not have contested our LZ. They should have let their inactives exist and participate in the crash by making us have to crash them on their jump gate.
Like I'm saying, like Abe is saying in the chat here, it feels more like a Slippin' guild than a Cloak guild for Too Easy on Sigma. So I don't think Cloak. He was obviously LS, so you thought he would have picked up a few things, but I guess he didn't. They continuously try to go for the best ratio that there is, and not just killing the important fleets.
Yeah. Because in all the crashes, you see some people getting some hits off. There's some people that are participating in the crash well, and some guys that are just not.
Oh, apparently Chris says they won Sigma by getting 2 guilds to stab and brute force the wormhole.
Oh, fun.
So I guess that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, because I was looking at Sigma the other day, and I saw their profile page says, like, yep, there's 2 clusters against us all server, and we still won, or something like that. So that's not actually accurate. Of course. It's just like on Mystic when in their Triad guild, they're like, sorry, my food ran, and they kept that up for a year and a half. Which was just adorable.
It's also kind of weird that like the people that are complaining about the so-called like exploit, it's not even people that were in the fucking crash. Because the people that were in the crash, they know that didn't fucking matter at all. They just, well, except Czar, of course, but he's a moldy little cunt, isn't he? So it didn't matter at all. It was literally just fleet there. Like if you were in a crash, Jordan, all right, hypothetically, if you ever participated in one ever,
what?
and you see a bunch of 40 size fleets, do you A, continue scrolling down instead of up, or do you just play the game like a human being? So I don't see how the auto scouts did anything whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't understand how it just made like it broke their mouses, like they couldn't click. I don't get it, because that's all I thought it would be. You'd see some 40s there, and that's it. I was there for Mystic and Nexus. I don't like this. I don't need to hear this. Mods, take care of this. This rogue deity lord.
Yeah, and like Slippin is complaining profusely on like the forums about how much of an exploit it is. But I just think his brain has been fully melted by like talking to Trace too much.
Oh yeah, he just parrots whatever he's with. Like I'm trying to think of some other things that he said that have like made sense in chat, but I feel like I hate them now because everything he says just sounds so stupid coming out of his mouth.
It really, really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, Slippin' Jimmy is. I think he's worse than Trace. Like Trace is just like unhinged when he argues, but Jimmy just says the dumbest shit in the world. And I'm fine. I'm fine with being unhinged, but God, Jimmy is the worst, the absolute dirt worst when it comes to Discord.
The fact is that fucking Jimbo, he knows better, but he is just like a partisan little rat, isn't he?
Yes, that's completely accurate. Oh God. The crash was absurd. If we're looking at any of the battle reports here, there are very, very few hits that are good ratios from ANN on Go. I don't think there is a single good hit from Japan on Go. I don't think there's a single one.
Well, no, it's hard to with that sync, isn't it?
Yeah, Japan got super wiped. ANN did a little better, but still not good.
The thing about it also is that because everything came in piecemeal,
there's a bad hit from Go. There's a bad hit from Go. I wanted to put that up too.
Oh, that's tragic. But hey, like, it takes out handicaps. Who cares? Like, that's the sort of hit that Japan needs to figure out how to fucking do in a crash, because they never do.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. My favorite thing from the Discord was posted by Megadeth. Not long after the crash, he posted, Japan's biggest mistake was to buy into the whole Zerg equals bad thing. Tried so hard not to be called a Zerg, and in the end, it did not pay off. IMO.
What?
I know.
Oh, I don't know what to say, man. He's a fucking animal, isn't he? Jesus Christ, 40s players, get him out.
Because Japan they've really thrown off the yoke of being a Zerg anymore. They've given that away. They definitely don't shove the most people in one cluster. Every server.
It is interesting though with this happening. This really fucking throws this and what happened a few days earlier with basically Alicus taking over half the cluster.
Yeah.
Now Alicus has more relative power than Japan and Trek and War has.
Oh yeah, this is great news for the server entertainment-wise.
This is great news for everyone except for Japan and the teens. Because as soon as fucking Alicus takes that little fucker over, there is no way that he's not going to just fucking go hard on Trace, because he really doesn't like Trace.
Yeah, because even though he's mad at Trace for just like not letting him like kill China for free. I know, like he was stabbed.
He's kind of like Czar in the image I have there. Just fucking get farmed and take it like a man, you know.
But yeah, Alicus is his guild's number 3 on the server. Somehow he's managed to just not even surprisingly, but somehow he managed to just take all the best players into his little group in the lower 30s. And his group, they're going to have better accounts than the upper 30s guilds, even though there's 150 of them still in the upper 30s. He's going to be doing a lot more stuff. It just makes the server so much more interesting. And Japan having the best accounts out of the upper 30s, they've all been set back now. And the lower teens also now, they're not going to be launching at 09 for a while again either.
Like, Alicus is a bit like Jehovah's Witness, right? If you let them talk for more than 2 seconds without slamming the door in their face, it's over. They're in your house and you're giving them fucking coffee and they have to talk to you for like 2 hours about Jesus Christ. In this case, Alicus.
Yeah, Cloak's biggest mistake this server was letting Alicus live, because Alicus is going to take over his cluster. Guaranteed.
Oh no,
Guaranteed.
He already has taken over it.
Yeah.
Like, it's too late. He should... When the nonsense with Box happened, that should have been a red warning flag to Japan and War and Trek, because they just let him get away with it for free.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, what else can I get away for free with? I don't know, taking over the fucking cluster. Why not?
Yeah, and Alicus is well aware of what he does and how he does it, but somehow the rest of his cluster has no idea. And yeah. Give him an inch, he's taking a mile every time.
It really shows that Cloak has not seen Alicus play before.
No.
Because everyone else sees this from a fucking mile away. And I'm just straight up wondering why like people like Trace didn't tell Cloak that this was about to happen.
But yeah, but it's going to make for a much more interesting server. I'd rather have Alicus in command of the 300 people in the 30s than Cloak, because he'll at least do something. And it'll be more fun. Alicus will take risks, and that is fun.
For sure. I'm personally hoping that he'll kill off at least some of the fucking members, so they don't...
Oh, because he does... He hates Trek for some reason, so he may do that. I would not be surprised.
Oh, sweet. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so there's a very good chance that happens, too. Yeah, because he hates Trek. Because I remember when they launched up to the mid-40s to kill Lost, and Belwar was launching to like the upper 40s to kill Die, and like he was like super pissed off at Belwar. He's like, "You better fucking recall."
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you, just a dog for Trek or something like that? And so he's hated Trek for, I don't know why, just for existing and being allowed in the Alliance and being the lesser of those 3 Japan Trek war guilds. So yeah, he will end up eating Trek at some point. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you got anything else to talk about that crash? I know you're a big fan of Czar and his cross-server suiciding at Baylor, which is hilarious.
That is just funny, isn't it? That's just incredibly funny. Like, he's so mad. He's so angry, dude. He couldn't fucking just get farmed and take it like a man, like he refuses like other people should do. It's actually so sad. He's a little hypocrite cunt. He's always been unhinged, man. He's always been unhinged. Like the one time he went fucking SP-10 before Outpost ship.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Oh my god.
That is can you believe this guy? Ugh.
I'm still a Czar apologist because he was the first guild that I liked on Gamma that I joined in, and I had fun in his guild 10 years ago. But then I ended up suiciding the entire guild and with the levies, Jordash Smash. So
I mean, that really just speaks to the volume of your character, though, doesn't it, George?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah, I haven't suicided.
We should bring it back, dude. The good old team, you and me.
Yeah, you want to be in the training guild for B3?
Oh no, man! I might flame everyone, though. Is the thing.
Yeah.
Remember, just like,
dude. Remember every server that I've ever played with you? Yeah, I remember them.
There's no need for that, though, is there, mate?
No. Yeah, but Scott, that's an out there fact. I don't really hide it. Jord, piece of doo-doo confirmed. That's not a secret. I've always been evil. This is me. The ANN is my penance. If I have to do, which is why instead of having fun on any weekend, I just work on ANN shit every weekend instead. Eventually giving back from all the refunds that Wizard has had to give out because of me.
Okay, well, to wrap it up, then, I suppose,
yeah.
I really just want to thank Cloak for a really, 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 really free derp delivery. Thank you. This goes right into the fund of my account not being a troll account anymore. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he appreciates it. He says you're welcome. And thanks so much for coming on, Frosty. And I did ask Scott yesterday if I wanted to like rope him into here to bombard you at the end, but he declined, which is unfortunate.
It's probably for the better, though.
Probably for the best, yeah.
All right. Good talking to you, Jordan.
All right, later, man. Frosty. Goodbye.
See you.
All right, boys. That was Antares Part 1. Well, we still have more Antares to talk about somehow. Alicus can finally pay attention now and stop complaining because we're going to have his boy Hash on. So I'm going to give you a little quick breakdown on what actually happened before I get Hash in here. So earlier this week, like, I don't know, it was really early this week, like right after the ANN last Sunday, there was a political takeover of Iran by D&D, formerly known as Go, mainly due to Iran trying to like cover for this weird player named Volatile who was like breaking pacts, and he got kicked out of the guild, and like he leaked a bunch of guild information, like a bunch of awful shit. And like, but Iran still wouldn't keep him in the guild. I don't know why. But Alicus managed to escalate that situation to war naturally until the Big Brother allies kind of stepped in to cool things off. And they all pretty much sided with Alicus. And now Iran simply no longer exists. They got to merge in the best players. D&D now is the number 3 guild on the server. And yeah, they're super major players now. They're not just memers crashing in the 40s. They can go do real shit now. And they have like their other sub-guild. I don't know, Anarchy is part of their training guild. I don't know, a whole bunch of shit. I really don't know that much about the details of it. However, I'm going to get Hash on, and he's going to give us the real skinny on that. So give me just a moment to get Hash on, and I will be right back. All right, guys. That's the end of today's Astro News Network. I had believed that this was going to end the most news-filled episode of the ANN, but turns out there was a little bit less news than I thought. But next week, I want to let you know there's not going to be an ANN next week. I'm taking a break next week. So the ANN's going to return in 2 weeks on July 12th. We're skipping the 5th. We're taking a break. And I think 13 weeks of the ANN back-to-back makes for a good season. So thank you, everyone, for watching the Season 1 finale of the ANN. Who knows what Season 2 will bring? More of the same? Probably. I do have some behind-the-scenes stuff that I've been meaning to work on. Like, I need to figure out how to edit a video ever. So I can make some little intro. I want to make a toxic soundboard. And we'll see if I actually just get that done, or if I actually relax over the 4th of July weekend. One thing that is definitely going to be on the first episode of the ANN Season 2 is going to be a breakdown of all the groups that are currently playing Astro Empires. I've had that requested to me a few times over the last couple weeks, because there's a lot of people that aren't hyperactive in the Discord that don't just automatically know all the politics and all the bad blood and backstories that all the diehards do. So we're going to take an in-depth look at that. But that's all I can tell you about the Season 2 premiere. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone who's ever tuned into the Astro News Network, especially for everyone who's followed and subscribed along the way. If you're interested in coming on the ANN or have a hot tip you want to give me, I'll take that tip with a smile every time. You can always send me a message in-game, Discord, Twitch, wherever you can find me. Thank you everyone so much for watching today, and I will see you guys again in 2 weeks. Oh yeah, Big Lebowski. I'm Jordash7K on PlayStation. I never play multiplayer things hardly ever, but you can friend me. But yeah, Infamous. Yeah, sometimes I ask people questions and they say, well, we're going to talk about it, and then they just don't want to talk about them as much. It happens. It happens. But alright guys, let's go enjoy the rest of our Sundays. You guys have a good one. Thanks, Spartan. Bye-bye.